FARMVIEW with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
Brought to you by GlanviaConnect.com.
Hello and welcome to FARMVIEW. Well, as usual, it's Kieran O'Connor here with your weekly farming programme. Once again, I have a busy show for you this week. Well, on this week's programme, I discuss the importance of the Farm Safety Week during July, which is our most dangerous month of the year for farm accidents. We also hear about the ongoing licence problem for the forestry sector, indeed its huge potential as a farming enterprise going forward in Ireland. And we preview our first weaning sale of 2021. And of course, as always, we'll have our farming calendar.
FARMVIEW with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanviaConnect.com, Ireland's biggest online farming shop and more.
Well, this week is a very important week for the farming sector. It's Farm Safety Week, and of course farming is renowned, indeed unfortunately, for one of the worst sectors as regards serious injury and fatality. So to join us to discuss Farm Safety Week and indeed an update on the situation on farm this year, we're joined from Kildalton by their Teagasc Farm Safety Manager, John McNamara. John, welcome back to our programme.
Thank you, Kieran.
John, I suppose firstly, Farm Safety Week, I think it's a great concept. Just before we came on air, we've good news. I know one death is one too many, but good news as regards fatality so far in 21 compared to 2020.
Yes, fatalities are down dramatically. There have been 3 so far this year. As you say, that's 3 too many. This time last year there was 14, and a big reduction in trend. No, however, the challenge lies ahead. We're in the middle of the busy July period and into August. That's when a lot of accidents take place. So we must continue with our efforts.
John, as regards this year's figures, would you believe COVID had a part of that, or would you just think people are becoming more cautious, slowing down more and become more safety conscious?
Possibly both, and I think the measures you outline are probably a consequence of COVID. I think since COVID came, there's a lot more people working on farms, students working at home, people working on the buildings, working from home, that sort of stuff. But the economy is reopening and people will be going back to work and that. So I think for that reason we should redouble our efforts also.
Obviously, Farm Safety Week, it's a great way just to highlight, bring it front and centre. And as you mentioned, July has been a horrific month over the years. You're coming out of the silage season, getting into the harvest season. Kids are off school and there's lots of activity on farm, hay being saved and whatever. As regards the week itself, John, I think there's a few key points within the week, and I think some great banner headlines that you're promoting for this Farm Safety Week.
The UK and Ireland event, the IFA are key organisers in Ireland. We've a theme for every day, dying to get the job done. Tiredness can kill. So I think farmers have never been accused of being short of having a work ethic. We all like to get on with the job, but tiredness and rushing can kill. We're saying to people to slow it down and take it steady. Farm safety may not cost the earth, but it may cost you your life. So what we're advocating there is to get people to do the simple things, farms, things that don't cost very much. They can be life changers. Fixing a gate, for instance, in a livestock crush.
Keeping your farmyard tidy, have children's play area and so on. Is that type of area you're saying?
Yeah, farmyard tidy, simple play areas. Those are the areas that will give real safety benefits. Protecting the public. So as you know, the harvest is ongoing, and it will, with the grain harvest starting, we're talking there about using big, large tractors and vehicles on the public road. The theme is your safety, your choice. So in that regard, I think we in Teagasc, along with Dr. Noel Richardson in the IT Carlow and Diana Van Dorn, who works with them, and other people, we've produced a big study on farmers, dare I say, diet and weight and that. So it's a good time to take exercise and to plenty of good, wholesome farm-produced food. The study shows that farmers eat a lot of salty, sugary, snacky kind of stuff. Weight creeps up on people, and the reason we did the study is that a previous study showed that farmers have a lot of cardiovascular
Very much, John, and I was really surprised. Glanbia got involved with Teagasc and, as you said, Dr. Noel Richardson with Carlow IT, and indeed they had these free clinics at branches right around the region, and the number of guys that came in, unfortunately, thankfully that they came in, but their cholesterol was sky high, and in one or two situations some guys had to nearly go straight to hospital. They were on the brink of getting a serious heart attack.
No, that's it, and we've got outstanding results out of that study that we'll be publishing later in the year. Key finding is that, farmers were very pleased to come into agri-brand stores and marts and that, and, to engage in health promotion. So I think it's a good time to take a break and get down by the sea and get a bit of exercise size. And one thing that stood out for me in the study was that farmers don't eat much fruit and vegetables, indeed don't drink that much milk. So I think looking at the food triangle that the HSE produce, making a few simple kind of dietary changes.
And John, you mentioned in passing there about the whole area of the public, but I think it's a two-way stream. Public have to be more aware of activity on farm, but definitely farmers. And one bugbear I have over the years is see young guys driving huge machinery at speed, and indeed it's one area that I think that it's a disaster waiting to happen. But overall, I think it's a two-way stream. The general public being aware, activity on farm to slow down more, and indeed people using farm machinery to do likewise.
Totally agree with you, Kieran. I think it's about cutting risk. Any member of the public that's listening, I think farmers need to be respected. I know equipment is large now, but just for the few weeks of the harvest, I think everyone should slow down, cut the risk down to the minimum.
Well, John, I think it was a super idea, and delighted to see Ireland and the UK working together on this initiative. It's Farm Safety Week. Indeed, well done to the IFA and indeed yourselves in Teagasc for supporting this huge initiative. It's a very important one. Good to hear that the fatalities are down, as I say, is 3 too many, but way lower than it was the year before. John McNamara of Teagasc. John, you're doing great work there, helping promoting the whole area of farm safety. Thanks for taking our call, and indeed we'll talk to you in the near future.
Thank you.
Well, everyone is very much aware of the huge problem with forest licensing over the past number of years, but the news earlier this week is that the Department of Ag have made 40% of forest licence target for 2021 so far. So good news, but a big lot of work still to be done. To discuss this, indeed, the ongoing potential and indeed the whole opportunity within this whole forestry sector, we're joined by lecturer in forestry at WIT, Tom Kent. Tom, welcome to our programme.
Thanks very much.
Tom, the fact the Department has 40% of forest licences has met that target. That's a good start, but there's a huge backlog there, and it has been a huge problem for the industry, not alone the forest industry, but of course the timber industry as well.
Yes, no, there's no doubt about it. It's a good start, but there's definitely a lot more to do, and quickly now particularly I would say around the harvesting, because timber needs to flow into the sawmills. Then of course all the other areas around afforestation, roads and so on. But I would say, yeah, getting the harvesting sorted would be a good start. That would definitely, if you like, mitigate the extreme pressure that the mills, and not just the mills, but also harvesting contractors, the small companies there whose livelihoods are based around harvesting, and they need to have work constantly in front of them, same around timber haulage. Getting that sorted now is vital.
Tom, starting out, the target for this year was 4,500 licences. Already, as I mentioned earlier, we've 1,836, which is 40%. Should we be considering easing regulations, indeed, around the granting of felling licences in view of the shortage of supply, indeed, the rising cost of timber? So should we be looking at this whole area?
To be honest, the regulatory framework is there. Certainly, where this problem arose was, the Habitats Directive was introduced, and that had serious consequences, which maybe, to be honest, initially weren't thought through fully, the implications of it. But look, there's a good understanding now of the current regulations. There's a really good understanding of documentation the department needs on a site-by-site basis. The department, in fairness to them now, have taken the approach of hiring to get through the backlog. And, now it's a question of let them get on with it, but definitely at speed. But it's under no circumstances should we be talking about easing the regulations. Regulations are only going one way, and in reality, this is about the capacity to deal with a regulatory change, and the capacity wasn't there. They've put the people in place, or they're certainly starting to put the people in place. And to be honest, my view on this is a very good thing. It's a very good thing for a graduate. All my graduates are employed. Probably, if I had more graduates, they'd be employed too. And I think in the long term, it'll be a very good thing for the industry and a very good thing for Irish society.
Definitely.
This is about the improvement of standards across the board.
Tom, do you feel that the Climate Action Bill, the role that forestry can play from an environmental point of view, and indeed as part of the agri sector, has very much been the poor relation? And I often feel that people get involved in forestry are often looked down and frowned at as kind of beaten dockets, putting up the white flag. If you hear a suckler farmer or a guy who's a part-time farmer putting 30 acres into forestry, has that moved on, or do you feel that stigma is still there for that industry? Because it's going to be a huge important sector going forward, particularly with the whole Climate Action Bill and of course the environmental issues as well.
It is. No, that's very true. Look, everybody's talking about trees and forestry now. The reality is that, many of the challenges we face, whether it's the Climate Action Plan, to be perfectly honest with you, even as an antidote to physical and mental health crisis brought on by the pandemic, having local forest areas is, I think we're well aware now of the importance of them. Also, not to forget the biodiversity crisis that's also there. So forests and trees have an increasingly important role to play in Ireland. I think maybe what's changed is that Irish society has become aware of that. It was something foresters were always aware of, but we're a small bunch and we don't make loud noises.
Right.
And I think what we're seeing now is a lot of the noise made highlighting maybe deficiencies in forest policy, or maybe more importantly perceived deficiencies. These are people who have a genuine interest in seeing Ireland have more trees, but they also kind of probably are coming from a particular viewpoint.
Do you feel the department have been lacking in this, because they seem to be the forgotten sector as such? But do you feel the department, or do you think people are unfairly blaming the department a lot of the problem? Because timber has never been dearer. I read that a 4x2 was €8 last year, is now €13. So the building industry, the knock-on effect, and the cost of timber and the high importations. Do you feel that the department are a good bit to blame, or do you think they're being unfairly blamed?
I think there's criticism. Look, people love to have a complaint, and they love, particularly give the state a kicking. There was an issue. There's no doubt about it, and there was a deficiency there, as I say, particularly in capacity in dealing with the issues or the consequences of implementing the Habitats Directive. Look, the government departments, big wheels move slowly, but they've hired at least 25 staff in the last 12 months to deal with it.
But is that enough, Tom? Because we're going to have this ongoing problem, and the backlog is there, and then we want to get more people involved in the industry. And if people are hearing this, if I was considering getting involved, it's very attractive grants, there's very attractive premium, but when you're hearing all this backlog to be sorted, this needs to be done more urgently. And do you feel the government are doing enough? I know you mentioned 25 more, but does it need more to get out of this huge problem for the industry, and the timber and the building industry as well?
I would say that we could always do more, of course. You could always throw, but I guess every sector, every individual involved in any sector in Ireland, particularly in the public sector, would always say that their sector needs more and deserves more. And to be perfectly honest with you, that's true of forestry. We've had a consistent forest policy in Ireland for the last more than 30 years, which is we want to increase our forest area. That has led to the creation of a huge new forest resource. We have the potential, we have enough studies done on this to know that we have the potential there to double the scale of the industry, double the scale of everything, double the scale of harvesting, of timber production, also look at whole new areas of business that we couldn't consider before, and look at ecosystem services.
You mentioned potential, but do we have the will? And I think that's the big one, to do it.
Yeah, and the only way that will happen, the only way we convert to potential to reality is human resources. And we need more people in the industry. The department definitely have a role in that, because they definitely need more people on the regulatory side. I need to attract more students into WIT so that they can gain their forestry qualification and go and work in the industry. And of course we need to create a business environment that's friendly towards innovation and developing new opportunity enterprises. If there's one positive, and to be honest, I'm an optimistic sort of person. If there's one positive that we can take out of the current crisis, is it's brought the current situation into focus, and it's maybe put us under a bit of a spotlight in forestry that needed to happen. And now it's about kind of solving it. There's a project Woodland there that the minister has set up. She's got teams working on it. Let's give them a little bit of time to see what they can come up with. And but it is, you're right, there has to be actionable points over the next kind of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months and so on.
Well, Tom, look, I think it's good to end on a positive note. Tom Kent, lecturer in forestry at WIT. Tom, you're doing super work down there. I've met several of your graduates over the years, and definitely they've been a great ambassadors for you. You're doing super work at a time when forestry wasn't flavour of the month, but now it's a must-do scenario. It's a must-do industry, and you're playing a huge part down there, and all your team in WIT. Tom Kent, lecturer in WIT. Tom, thanks for the call. We'll talk to you in the near future.
Yeah, thanks, Kieran. Thanks very much.
FARMVIEW with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanviaConnect.com. Thousands of products in the palm of your hand.
And you're welcome back to part 2 of FARMVIEW. Now let's have a look at some items from our farming calendar. Great opportunity every week to purchase local farm fresh products at our farmer markets and country markets. This Saturday morning we've Waterford Farmers Market, John Roberts Square, Tramore Farmers Market, Priest Road, Tramore, and Stradley Farmers Market running every Saturday morning from 10 until 1. Sunday, Lismore Farmers Market, Castle Avenue, Lismore running from 10 until 4, while also on Sunday, Ardmore Farmers Market just off the beach car park running from 11 until 3. Thursday, as always, is Dungarvan Farmers Market, Grattan Square from 9 until 2, while on Friday mornings you have Dungarvan Country Markets at the Scouts Den and Abbeyside, and also we have the Waterford Country Markets in St Olave's Hall, both running from 9 until 1. To our marts this Saturday morning, we've Waterford Ross Mart in New Ross, cattle sales from 9:30, calf sales from 10, and don't forget Ross Mart's first weaning sale of the season takes place on Monday evening at 5:30. Monday, Dungarvan Mart, of course, as always, calf sale on Monday mornings starting at 10:30 with cattle sales from 11 o'clock. And remember, all sales are now online at livestocklive.com. Now, John Prendergast was on to remind us that the Ardmore Grange Parish annual tractor run, it's always a big fundraiser for them. It takes place this Sunday with assembly at the Ardmore GA pitch from 11 o'clock Sunday morning. So let's hope there'll be a big turnout, as always, for the big Ardmore Grange tractor run. And well done to John Prendergast and all involved. And finally, on our show jumping front, don't forget the Shannakill House Equestrian Centre. Well, their summer pony leagues continue every Friday evening from 5, with the finals taking place at the end of August.
FARMVIEW with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanviaConnect.com. Ireland's biggest online farming shop and more.
Well, the very first wheeling sale of the season takes place on Monday next. It's Monday the 26th of July at 5:30 in the Waterford Ross Mart in New Ross. And Johnny's on the line is the Mart manager there, Richie Cowan. Richie, first of all, it tells you the time of year we're talking about when you have the first wheeling sale of the year taking place next week.
It does, Kieran, yeah. It doesn't be long coming around. We hold our weaning sales on a Monday evening down here at 5:30. Obviously the first one, as I said, is Monday evening for the autumn-born weaning sale from last year, and we hold one in July every year, and we have one in August, and then we get going every Monday then in September.
Before we go on and talk about the weaning sale, obviously you must be delighted the way cattle sales are going at the moment, and indeed how the whole COVID restrictions have been handled by the farmers and marts alike, and really the price at the moment is putting people in very good form at present, cattle prices.
It's absolutely brilliant, yeah. The cattle sales, size of sales for the time of year has been unreal, and products have matched. Compared to last year, we've seen anywhere from about 150 to 200 euros a head up in some cases. Everything's real good trade, and look, there's been exceptional grass growth, I suppose, over the last couple of weeks, which is probably slowing down now with the real good weather, but it's real positive.
Great.
COVID-19 restrictions are slowly starting to lift. We're still on the 2 metres, wearing your masks, but look, there's more confidence. Obviously, people are vaccinated, and there's just a buzz around the market every day to go.
Obviously, with the COVID restrictions, it's buyers only around the ring. If a guy is selling, is the scenario that he kind of drops his animals and then is he allowed into the seller's box, or how does he proceed after dropping his animals, or what's the procedure there for sellers?
The procedure is you drop your animals off as normal. It's buyers only in the ring. So you have to have business say to work in the ring. You can't sit in and just watch what's going on. But what you can do is on your phone, you can check what, say, lot number, just for example, say your lot 10, watch on the phone, say lot 9 is in the ring, but then you can make your way into the ring, then into the seller's box for when it's your turn to sell.
And the seller's box is completely cut off from the main ring as such?
Yeah, it's cut off, yeah. You can.
And listen, hasn't it been unbelievable the way guys have bought into it? I spoke to you before on this. Farmers in particular, of all ages, right across, not alone down here in the southeast, but right across the region, indeed, has worked extremely well. Indeed, it's a great credit to everyone involved, yourselves included.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. A couple of years ago, no one envisaged that the online system would work the way it's worked. It has opened up a whole heap of new customers to us, and it's just brilliant the way everyone has embraced it. As
regards the wheeling sales, do you get a different type of buyer? Is it a whole different market, or do you find you get a lot of the same year on year, or how do you find the actual wheeling sales fraternity as such?
You would have a different type of buyer, yeah. You would have it, you have specialised bull finishers, or you'd have specialised heifers, like you'd have a lot of suckler stock there, suckler breds, ewes and E-grade and cattle. Yeah, it is. is done specifically on the Monday night to suit the extra buyers.
Yeah, great idea. 5:30, so Monday night it all kicks off. The first weaning sale of 2021. You follow with your second, you say, on the 23rd of August, and then it's weekly when you hit September. Richie Cowan, as always. Richie, thanks for taking our call. Well done to you and all involved, and all the farmers involved, and how well you've run the whole March system through this difficult time. But it's great to see the weaning sales kicking off on Monday next in New Rocks. Richie, thanks for taking our call. Best of luck in the future.
Thanks very much, Kieran.
And before I go on a racing front, a good week again for local Waterford connections. Cross-Channel, Dungarvan jock Trevor Whelan back in the winners' enclosure at Doncaster and Fosslas in Wales during the week. While back home, it's that man again, Henry de Bromhead of Knockeen, Butlerstown, treble at Killarney, double at Tip, and a brilliant winner on the flat in a listed race at Naas as well. So great week all round for Trevor and indeed Henry as well. Well, that's it for this week's programme. Once again, my thanks to Ollie and Sean for all their help in putting this week's programme together. A reminder, next week on our programme, I'll have an in-depth interview with our Minister for Agriculture, Charlie McConalogue, TD. So stay safe, keep up the protocol, and hopefully I'll have your company again same time next week.
FARMVIEW with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com. Thousands of products in the palm of your hand.